Turning to business news now with Giles Beckford, our business editor, who's beaming in a magnificent red jersey from Wellington. Another crop of company results, Giles, and the most interesting Air New Zealand, I think.
Indeed, after last year's stellar performance, which was $463 million, of course the expectations had to be watered down a wee bit given the environment that the airline operates in. So it was, the result was $382 million. It's still its second best profit in the years that it's been going. And it's quite clear there are just really a lot of competitive and intensive competitive pressures out there. Too many airlines chasing the available passengers, to put it rather crudely. Too many seats and not enough bums to go on them. Means, of course, they had to cut prices in order to maintain market share. That fell a little bit, their revenue fell a little bit, but Air New Zealand is facing some really strong pressures in the past year. Jetstar on some of the regional routes here in New Zealand. There were 10 new airlines flying into New Zealand on foreign routes last year. All in all, you could understand why Christopher Luxon, the chief executive, was feeling the pressure.
2017 was a challenging year and one we did not take lightly. We knew there would be an impact as we moved very quickly from a relatively benign competitive environment to one that was filled with a number of new carriers. In that context, I'm extremely pleased with how we responded to that competition and the momentum we saw towards the end of the year. Our ultimate goal is providing sustainable, strong returns for our shareholders over the long term, and I think you have seen us do that again this year.
And interestingly, Christopher Luxon, in the briefing that he gave on the results, was telling analysts and journalists, in fact, they've started to see off some of the competition. People such as Emirates have stopped flying the New Zealand-Australia route. American Airlines, who only just last year came in flying from North America, they've cut back their capacity, as has, in fact, Air New Zealand's partner, United Airlines. Some of the Chinese airlines who are flying direct from places such as Xi'an and Chengdu, they've also curtailed their services. So all in all, Air New Zealand's rather confident, and they're talking about delivering better returns for next year, an increased profit, confident enough to give their staff who are not on incentive schemes a $1,700 bonus, and shareholders also rewarded with a slight increase in the dividend. So all in all, Air New Zealand's still flying quite high.
$1,700 for everyone, Giles. I suspect the senior people will have got a hell of a lot more than that, but everyone else.
Oh, the ordinary workers, shall we say. Those on incentive schemes will have done, I would think, a good deal.
Some zeros after $1,700. Auckland Airport, we're still sticking with aviation theme. Auckland Airport reporting today, right?
Well, Air New Zealand, Auckland Airport, they go hand in hand. 19 million people travelled through Auckland Airport in the past year. And it's a bit boring by comparison to the sort of sexiness of airlines. You know, we're talking about terminals, runways, parking buildings and the lot, but they are the country's biggest company by capitalisation, worth more or nearly $8.5 billion. Their profit up by a quarter in the past year, $333 million. That pace of growth is going to slow down, and they've got themselves some big spending coming. They're talking about spending $1 million a day in the next year as they upgrade their terminals, their taxiways, their air bridges, parking buildings and the like. But it's still a company that is going places. We should mention also in the earnings reports today, A2 Milk. This is the company which has the specialty infant formula, one of the share market darlings. It tripled its profit for the past year, nearly $90 million, and it also saw its share price rise quite strongly, 5% to a record high today.
Thanks, Charles. What happened on the markets today?
Top 50 index, for all that the earnings were good, the market took them largely in its stride. Top 50 index up 12.7879. The New Zealand dollar a little softer across the board. Possibly the prospect that the chances of a tax cut have receded after the opening of the books, I think, may be weighing on the markets. 72.4 US cents and 91.7 Australian.
Giles Beckford, our business editor, thank you very much indeed.